All right, let's talk about something that's happening behind the scenes all the time. Who is actually trying to hack into Canada's most critical systems? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on an official intelligence briefing that breaks down the biggest digital threats the country is facing. And let me tell you, it's way more complicated than you probably think. Okay, so this one sentence really says it all, doesn't it? This comes straight from Canada's top cyber experts, and it perfectly sets the stage. They're saying the threat isn't just getting bigger, it's getting more complex. We've got a growing cast of bad actors out there. So the big question is, who are these people, and what exactly are they after? And just so we're clear where all this information is coming from, our guide here is the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity. These are the folks, the nation's technical authority. So what we're talking about today isn't just some theory or speculation. Nope, this is their official, on-the-record assessment of the threats we're all facing. So that brings us right to the heart of it, right? Who is trying to hack Canada? Well, the official assessment actually splits them into two major groups. And believe me, they're very different from each other, but they're both incredibly dangerous. All right, first up, the business of cybercrime. And right off the bat, we need to get something straight. You know that image of a lone hacker in a dark basement? Yeah, forget that. That's not what we're dealing with anymore. This is a global, highly sophisticated, and get this, insanely profitable industry. Okay, and this is where it gets really wild. The main way this industry operates is something called cybercrime as a service. Think of it like an Amazon for criminals. Seriously, it's an online marketplace on the dark web where you can buy or rent all the tools you need to launch an attack. You don't have to be a genius coder anymore. You just need the cash. This has totally changed the game because now pretty much anyone can get in on the action. And the official report is crystal clear about what this means. This whole as-a-service model is the reason cybercrime is so, well, resilient. It's so hard to stop because when law enforcement takes down one group, another one can literally just go online, buy the same toolkit, and be back in business almost overnight. It's become this industrialized system that is just a nightmare to disrupt. But here's the thing. Cybercrime, as massive a threat as it is really only half of the story. The other major threat actor isn't in it for the money. Oh no, they're motivated by something else entirely, geopolitical power. So now we're stepping into the world of state-sponsored cyber attacks. Yeah, the whole motivation shifts here. These hackers, the ones backed by governments, they couldn't care less about your credit card number. They are playing a much, much bigger game. We're talking about stealing government secrets, sowing chaos and division in our society, and pushing their own country's strategic goals, usually, at our expense. And look, the intelligence report is not shy about this at all. It names names, it points a finger directly at two countries as the biggest state-sponsored threats to Canada, the People's Republic of China and Russia. And just listen to the specific words they use, because it's really important. For China, the report calls their program the most sophisticated and active. It's about widespread spying hitting both government and private companies. Russia, on the other hand, is described a little differently. Their goal is more about disruption, about trying to destabilize the West, and that includes Canada. So you've got two very different playbooks, but both have huge implications for us. It's not just about those two, though. The report also puts a spotlight on Iran's cyber program. Their focus? Using cyber tools to go after opponents of the regime, to coerce them, to harass them, even if those people are living right here in Canada. Okay, I know this diagram looks a little complicated, but stick with me, because it shows something crucial. State-sponsored hacking isn't just a single government office, it's a whole ecosystem. Right at the center, you've got the state's own intelligence agencies and military, but they don't do it all alone. They rely on this whole web of other players, private contractors, freelance hackers for hire, and even these exploit brokers who basically find security flaws and sell them. It creates this really blurry line between who's a government agent and who isn't, and that makes defending against it incredibly difficult. So, okay, we've got criminals chasing money, and we've got nations chasing power. But you might be thinking, what does this actually mean for me, for my day-to-day life? Well, this is where it gets very, very real for all of us. Because the number one target for these attacks is the critical infrastructure that we all depend on every single day. And when it comes to the cybercrime side of things, the report is absolutely clear. The single biggest threat is ransomware. You've probably heard the term, but basically it's when hackers break in, lock up all of a system's data, and then demand a huge payment to give it back. And the scary part is they are aiming this weapon right at Canada's most vital services. So when we say critical infrastructure, what are we talking about? It's the stuff that makes our society run. It's hospitals and our healthcare system. It's the power grid that keeps our lights on. It's our banks and financial system, government services we use, our transportation networks. The backbone of everything. An attack here isn't just a tech problem. It can grind daily life to a halt for millions. So when you put all of this together, one thing becomes incredibly clear. This isn't a problem that's standing still. The digital battlefield is changing constantly. And if anything, it feels like the pace is just accelerating. Really, the big takeaway from this entire intelligence brief is that these threats aren't happening one by one. They're all happening at the same time. You've got state actors getting bolder and more aggressive. You have cybercriminals getting smarter and finding new ways to get around defenses. And because of things like that cybercrime as a service model we talked about, the sheer number of people out there who can cause harm is growing every single day. So picture this. You've got these slick, professional criminal businesses on one side, and you've got powerful nation-states on the other, and they're all aiming their digital weapons at the very systems that make our country function. It really leaves us with a huge critical question, doesn't it? In a world that is this connected, what on earth does it actually take to stay safe?